So we will discuss today for seasonal time series basically. Seasonal time series uh, contains a seasonal components in analyzing the long-term movement. So if seasonal components present in a particular time series, how we can take care of it. And hopefully all of you have idea about the conventional unit root analysis by taking annual time series data, which we have completed at the master's level course. Okay, so to understand the issues discussed for today's class, you need to recapitulate the concepts you already have at the master's level. So I shall request you to go through the class notes if you have for the master's level, at least for the non-stationarity, stationarity concepts like this, concept of unit roots, random walk, and those discussions were restricted to the annual time series. But today we extend the similar kind of analysis for seasonal time series, high frequency data. Okay, so let me share the presentation now. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we discuss on seasonal time series, as I have already mentioned. So all of you know seasonality is basically the intra-year movement. In annual time series, we analyze inter-year movement, but when we focus on seasonal behavior of a data, we have to focus specifically on the intra-year movement within a year. Movement of a particular variable within a year, we have to analyze it. Okay, and the analysis of this kind of behavior is very much important in many economic time series, because all of you know the economic activities and the outputs obtained in most of the production process are affected highly by the seasonal factors. So how we can capture the behavior of changes of many economic variables with the change in seasons. Okay. Now we can define seasonal process in a two alternative way. One process may be deterministic seasonal process. Another may be stochastic. Similarly, we can look at the seasonal behavior by considering the seasonal process is purely deterministic first at the beginning. Then we concentrate on the seasonal process, which is stochastic purely. And we focus more on the stochastic behavior, because all of you know deterministic behavior is easy to capture relative to the stochastic behavior of any variable. Okay. Now, if the seasonality is deterministic, it can be expressed in a very simple form and can be deseasonalized just by using the seasonal dummy variables. Seasonal dummy variables basically will eliminate the effect of each of the seasons. So suppose we have a monthly time series. So there are 12 months within a year. So we can construct a 12-month dummies, and each dummy will represent the average change during that month. Similarly, for a quarterly time series, we can construct 4 dummies to represent 4 quarters, and the coefficient of each dummy will represent the average movement during a particular quarter. Okay. So suppose the data we have has a seasonal frequency S in general, capital S. So S may be equal to 4 for quarterly data, S may be equal to 12 for monthly data, etc. So if the seasonal process is purely deterministic, we can express its behavior simply just by incorporating the seasonal dummies like this. So yt, the variable of y at time point t, will be equal to alpha plus beta into t plus sum of gamma I di plus epsilon t. I varies from 1 to s minus 1. So here alpha denotes the drift parameter. You are familiar with the term drift in time series econometrics. Beta denotes the coefficient for deterministic trend, and gamma I are the coefficient for the dummy of season I. Okay. So if you have seasonal frequency S, you can construct S number of dummies. But to avoid dummy variable trap, you need to incorporate one less number of total seasonal frequencies. So if you have seasonal frequency S, you need to consider dummies S minus 1. Okay. Now, by estimating this model, you can calculate the estimated error, that is the residual. And this residual basically provides the deseasonalized values of the variable. If our objective is to analyze the long-term movement of a variable, we need to eliminate the seasonal effects. To eliminate the seasonal effects, we have to deseasonalize the data. So in the case of deterministic seasonal process, we can deseasonalize in a very simple manner just by estimate the univariate model by considering time trend as well as the seasonal dummies. After estimation, we can have the residual, and this residual basically will provide you the movement of the variable after eliminating the seasonal effect. So this is one way we can take care of the seasonal behavior in our empirical part of economic analysis. But in many cases, or even in most of the cases, seasonal behavior is very much important. We do not need to eliminate the seasonal effect. And the variation of a particular variable across seasons provide us a lot of information. For that reason, we should not eliminate simply the seasonal factors from our data. Even our objective is to analyze the long-term behavior. Suppose we want to analyze the behavior of a particular time series for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, etc. with monthly data. So in that case, you can find out the long-term behavior after eliminating the month effect in the data. But what I am saying here, how a particular variable varies across month, even within a year, may have a lot of importance. for that reason, in analyzing the long-term trend, we need to analyze the behavior of movement of the variable concerned across seasons during a year. So this is the prime objective of our discussion, the analysis of seasonal behavior. Okay. So to analyze the seasonal behavior, our main focus is on stochastic component of the seasonal process. Okay. So a seasonal process will be stochastic with periodicity S, capital S. Capital S denotes the frequency of the cycles. For quarterly data, S is equal to 4. For monthly data, S is equal to 12, etc. So for stochastic process of a variable with seasonal movement, we need to consider the appropriate probability distribution to explain its behavior. Because you know, when the time series or the process becomes stochastic, in that case, the stochastic behavior can be analyzed properly with the help of the probability distribution involved in the process. Okay. And by following the same trick as we have used for annual time series data, the stochastic behavior may be stationary, may be non-stationary. So stationarity and non-stationarity we need to examine of a high frequency data by considering the seasonal behavior involved in the data. Okay. And we utilize the same concept of stationarity and non-stationarity to analyze the stochastic seasonal process as we have used in the case of annual time series. And in analyzing annual time series, we define stationarity as a process in which the probability distribution involved in a particular time series is time invariant. On the other hand, the process is non-stationary if the probability distribution involved in a series is time dependent. So we utilize the same concept of stationarity and non-stationarity in the seasonal time series as well. Okay. So for stationary stochastic seasonality, the means, seasonal means, will be time constant, time invariant. Seasonal means if you have a quarterly data, we can calculate mean for each and every quarter. So in the case of a quarterly data, we can use the seasonal mean values, quarterly mean values to represent the value of the variable for that quarter. Okay. So in the case of stationary stochastic process, the seasonal mean will be time invariant. And this concept is also similar as we have used earlier for annual time series. You can remember a time series is stationary when its mean value is time invariant, variance is time invariant, and covariance is time invariant. So if mean, variance, covariance, etc. of the variable concerned do not change over time, then the variable will be treated as a stationary variable. because if mean and variance remain the same over time, the probability distribution involved in the variable will be the same over time. But if mean and variance will change, the probability distribution involved in the variable constant will change and the variable becomes non-stationary. Okay, so in the case of non-stationary seasonality, the seasonal means evolve over time. So you have to keep in mind here, because our main focus is on seasonality. So for stationary stochastic seasonality, the seasonal mean will be time invariant, variance will be time invariant, as well as covariance will also be time invariant. On the other hand, for non-stationary seasonality, the seasonal mean will be time dependent, the seasonal variance will be time dependent, seasonal covariance will be time dependent. Now you have to think the process of seasonality very much carefully. Take a simple example to understand the process clearly. Suppose you have a quarterly data. So you can analyze quarterly data in different way. One possible way is to look at the movement of the variable over the years without considering the quarterly change. This is one way to analyze the movement of the data. So in that case, what you have to do? You have to deseasonalize the data, and after that you can apply the same trick as you have used in the case of annual time series. Okay. Second way, you can look at the seasonal behavior of the data, of the variable. In other words, you can analyze the change of the variable within a particular year across the quarter. Okay. So this is the second way to look into the behavior of the variable. Third way, you can look at the nature of change of the variable at first quarter over time. Similarly, second quarter over the years, third quarter over the years, etc. So these are the three possible ways you can use to analyze the change of the variable for a quarterly data. Am I clear at this point? Suppose you have a quarterly data. So what would be the data structure? Quarter 1 in 2001, quarter 2 in 2001, quarter 3 in 2001, quarter 4 in 2001, then again quarter 1 in 2002, quarter 2 in 2002, quarter 3 in 2002, quarter 4 in 2002. In this way, you can get information. So here, you can analyze the annual movement of the variable by eliminating the movement of the variable across the quarter. That is, although you have a quarterly variable, you can analyze its movement by year, annual movement. So in that case, you have to deseasonalize the data. After deseasonalization, you can apply the trick that are applicable for annual time series. So this is one way you can do, and there is no difference in analytical steps needed to discuss the movement of the variable. Second way, you can just look at the movement across the quarter, change of the value of the variable across the quarter within a year. So you can analyze the movement over quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 in 2001, similarly in 2002, similarly in 2003, etc. So within a particular year, you can analyze the movement of the variable over the season. So this is second alternative. Third alternative way, you can analyze the movement of the variable in this way. Suppose you are interested in quarter 1. So you have information quarter 1 for each year. So you can analyze the movement of the variable appeared in quarter 1 in each and every year. So in that case, you are analyzing the movement of the variable in the first quarter for each and every year. Similarly, you can analyze the movement of the variable for second quarter each and every year, third quarter each and every year, etc. So in this way, if we have a high frequency data, we can analyze the movement of the variable in different alternative way. And each alternative way has special significance in each case. Am I clear? এই জায়গাটা বুঝতে পারলে?
Sir, third এর যেটা বললেন analysis of movement of variable in first quarter in each and every year, ওটা কি across the years we want to analyze? We are analyzing across the years of the first quarter.
Yes. Quarter 1 in 2001, again quarter 1 in 2002, again quarter 1 in 2003, etc. So in that case, you have to take quarter 1 for each and every year. So it is also basically the annual movement for first quarter value.
Okay.
Similarly, annual movement for the second quarter value, annual movement for the third quarter value, etc.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So it has a meaning because suppose you are considering a variable which is affected highly by the season. For example, demand for ice cream. So demand for ice cream is highly affected by the seasonal movement. You know, demand for ice cream declined during the winter season. Demand for ice cream increased significantly during the summer season. Okay, so if you want to analyze the demand behavior for ice cream, you have to analyze the data for each season, for summer season in each and every year, to look at the movement of the demand for ice cream when its demand is peak during a particular year. Similarly, you can analyze the behavior of demand for ice cream by taking only demand during the winter season. Okay, so this is one kind of analysis. Alternatively, you can take average for all seasons in a particular year, and you can analyze the average movement of the demand for ice cream over the years. This is another way. Third alternative way is you may be interested in finding out how the demand for ice cream changes across the season. So in that case, you need to analyze the behavior of the movement for demand for ice cream across the season within a particular year. Okay, so seasonal movement, when we are using the term seasonal movement, we are basically focusing on the movement of the variable over the seasons in a particular year. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So suppose you have a data for 10 years. So for 10-year data, you can analyze seasonal movement for each and every year. So you have to analyze 10 sets of seasonality. seasonal behavior for year 1, seasonal behavior for year 2, seasonal behavior for year 3, etc. So in this way, the variation of the movement of the variable constant may be multidimensional, not only unidimensional. Unidimensional in the sense, not only we can look at the movement of the variable over the years, we can look at the movement of the variable over the seasons during a year. We can look at the movement of the variable over the year by taking a particular season. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me concentrate on how we can express the stochastic seasonality. You can remember for annual time series, we discussed the possible stochastic process a time series variable may follow, which may be autoregressive process, which may be moving average process, which may be autoregressive moving average process, etc. So similar process can also be applied in the case of seasonal movement. So a seasonal time series will follow autoregressive process, and we can denote the process by SAR. In the case of annual time series, we denote autoregressive process by AR. AR means autoregressive. Similarly, seasonal autoregressive we can express by the term SAR. Okay, so a seasonal autoregressive process, in short SAR, is expressed as combination of non-seasonal lags as well as seasonal lags. Try to understand this point. So when we are considering that the variable you have follows autoregressive process, so in that case, two types of movement you have to consider. One movement relates to the long-term movement, that is the movement over different years. Second one, movement within a year across the season. So process of autoregression can be looked at by considering autoregressive process for the longer time period without considering the season, that is over the years, as well as autoregressive process over the seasons within a year. So there are two types of lags you need to consider to express seasonal autoregressive process. Okay. For example, suppose we want to express a seasonal autoregressive process with non-seasonal lag 1. Non-seasonal lag 1 means this lag is considered with respect to year. 1 year lag, 2 year lag, etc. So this is non-seasonal lag. Along with the seasonal lag. Seasonal lag means, suppose you have quarterly data. So there are 4 subpoints during a year. So in that case, when you are considering the movement over the quarter by taking one period lag. Okay. And as we need two type of lag lengths in expressing seasonal autoregressive process, symbolically we can express it autoregressive of order 1 as SAR11S. SAR11S. In the case of annual time series, you use the notation simply AR1. AR1 means autoregressive of order 1. In the case of annual time series, we have to take into account only the annual movement. So autoregressive of order 1 means the value of the variable for this year depends on the value of the variable for the previous year, like this. But now you have to consider another kind of lag in terms of the season. So for two types of lag, we need to use the symbol like this, SAR11S, that is autoregressive of order 1 with non-seasonal lag length 1 and seasonal lag length 1, where seasonal frequency S. So the meaning of this symbol, autoregressive of order 1, where non-seasonal lag length 1, seasonal lag length 1 with seasonal frequency S. And we can express this stochastic process in this way. Just look at the equation I have highlighted and try to understand. YTS is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 1 S YT minus 1 S plus epsilon TS. If we ignore the seasonal behavior, you can ignore this component and the model will be just like for annual time series. Okay, so the part I have highlighted actually captures the seasonal behavior. This part captures the non-seasonal behavior. This part captures the seasonal behavior. So you may ask a question, in analyzing seasonal behavior, why do we need to consider the non-seasonal behavior? Because your data contains both the dimension, non-seasonal dimension as well as seasonal dimension. For example, if you have a data for 10 years with seasonal frequency 4, quarterly data, so in your data, there are non-seasonal behavior if you consider the behavior over the year only without considering change during the quarter. So to capture the yearly behavior you have in the data, we need to consider this part. So this is the non-seasonal part. In this case, the annual movement should be considered with the movement of the variable across the season. So this part basically captures how the variable will change over the season during a particular year. So if you have a seasonal data, if you have a quarterly data, if you have a monthly data, you have to look into account the time movement of the variable in this way. You need to move over the years by considering the movement, seasonal movement within a year. So you have to consider the movement over the years by this part, by considering the movement across the season within a year. So these two kind of behavior you need to take care of simultaneously. Okay. Now, if we want to express seasonal autoregressive process of order 2-1, that means non-seasonal lag length 2, seasonal lag length 1. So in that case, your expression will be like this. YTS value of Y in year T and season S is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 2 YT minus 2 plus phi 1S YT minus 1S plus epsilon TS. Similarly, if you want to express the autoregressive process of order 2 to S, that is by taking lag length, non-seasonal lag length 2 as well as seasonal lag length 2. So in that case, you can express the behavior of the variable in terms of this equation. YTS, again the value of Y in year T and season S is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 2 YT minus 2. So this is the non-seasonal part by considering maximum lag length 2, and these are the seasonal part again by considering lag length 2, maximum lag length 2. And you know the last component is the white noise random error. So in this way, we can express the autoregressive process if you have seasonal frequency in your data. Clear?
Yes, sir.
As I have already mentioned, for quarterly data, S will be equal to 4. For monthly data, S will be equal to 12. For weekly data, S will be equal to 52. For daily data, S will be equal to 7. Just look at this point. For daily data, S will not be equal to 365. For daily data, S equal to 7 because repetition appears after 7 days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. For weekly data, repetition appears after 52. 1 week, first week, second week, third week. In this way, in a particular year, you have 52 weeks. So repetition will appear after 52 weeks. For monthly data, repetition will appear after 12. For quarterly data, repetition will appear after 4. For daily data, repetition will appear after 7. So for daily data, value of S will be equal to 7. For hourly data, value of S will be equal to 24 because here repetition will appear after 24 hours. Okay. Now, we have expressed SAR11 model, just this, in an additive fashion. Additive fashion means we have just added the non-seasonal behavior with the seasonal behavior. This is the non-seasonal behavior plus seasonal behavior plus random error. This explains the total behavior of the variable. One alternative way is to express the behavior of the variable in a multiplicative form. So if we use the multiplicative form, the expression for SAR11S model looks like this. 1 minus phi 1L into 1 minus phi 1S LS YTS is equal to epsilon TS. All of you know the meaning of L. L is the lag operator. So the first L used here, the lag operator in non-seasonal movement. And here L is the lag operator used in seasonal movement. So if we multiply this equation, ultimately you have this expression. Please write it down.
Sir, can you please go back to the previous slide once?
Yes. Just a
Thank you.
minute. So this is the multiplicative form of representation of seasonal autoregression of order 1, 1 with seasonal frequency S. In the earlier expression, we have just added the non-seasonal behavior with the seasonal behavior to the random behavior to get the total behavior. Now here, we are considering the multiplicative movement of the seasonal and non-seasonal behavior. So here, this part indicates the non-seasonal difference, and this part basically denotes the seasonal difference. So if you multiply, you can express this model in this way. YTS is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 1S YT minus 1S minus phi 1S YT minus 1 S minus 1 plus epsilon TS. So in the additive form, this component was absent. So if we want to express seasonal autoregressive movement in multiplicative form, the advantage is we can take care of the interaction of non-seasonal and seasonal behavior together. So in the multiplicative form, the autoregressive term in lag 1 is allowed to interact with the seasonal autoregressive effect at lag S. So this is the basic advantage in using the multiplicative form. But for analytical simplicity, in our discussion, we use the additive form of expression of the seasonal autoregressive process. Okay. So as I have mentioned already, the seasonal autoregressive process needs two types of lag length. One for the non-seasonal, another for the seasonal. Now let we generalize these lag lengths as small p, capital P. Small p denotes the lag length, non-seasonal lag length at P, and capital P denotes the non-seasonal lag length at capital P. So your model in general, SAR PPS, in the case of annual time series, you have ARP model, autoregressive of order P. Here, you will get SAR PPS, seasonal autoregressive of order PP with seasonal frequency S. So how do we express this behavior? Look at this equation and write it down. YTS is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 2 YT minus 2. In this way, phi P YT minus P. Up to this, it is non-seasonal. Then seasonal component appears. Phi 1 S YT minus 1 S plus phi 2 S YT minus 2 S. In this way, phi PS YT minus PS plus epsilon ts. So in this expression, this part is non-seasonal part and this part is seasonal part. So here in the non-seasonal part, autoregressive of order P. Again in the seasonal part, autoregressive of order P. And we can express in compact form SARPPS as phi P of L into phi PS LS YTS is equal to epsilon TS. So when we express seasonal autoregressive of order PP with seasonal frequency S in this compact form, you can easily understand this is basically the multiplicative form. Okay. But in our discussion, we avoid the multiplicative form just for analytical simplicity. So we use basically this kind of additive expression for seasonal autoregression. Okay. Similarly, we can express the moving average process. A seasonal process may follow moving average kind of behavior. So seasonal moving average process of order again 1,1s, because when we are considering the seasonal behavior, we have two types of lag length, one for seasonal, another for non-seasonal. Okay. So moving average process of order 1,1s you can use the symbol SMA. In the case of annual time series, it was MA1, moving average of order 1. When we have added the seasonal behavior, it becomes SMA of order 1,1 with seasonal frequency S. And you can express moving average of order 1,1 with seasonal frequency S as YTS is equal to epsilon TS plus theta 1 epsilon T minus 1 plus theta 1s epsilon T minus 1s. So you can easily identify this part denotes the non-seasonal part by taking lag length 1, and this part is the seasonal part again by taking lag length 1. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, তাহলে whenever we are putting an S in the index, তখনই
Yes.
ওটা represent করছে the seasonal part, তাই তো?
Yes, yes, yes. Suppose you have a monthly data. So in that case, S is equal to 12. So seasonal moving average of order 1,1, 12. S becomes 12 in this case for monthly data. So you can express for monthly data the moving average behavior in this way. YT12 is equal to epsilon T12. So this 12 indicates the seasonal frequency and T indicates the time point. Okay. Now again we can generalize the moving average process by considering non-seasonal lag length small q and seasonal lag length capital Q with seasonal frequency S, and this model becomes SMA, seasonal moving average of order QQS, and you can express this seasonal moving average process in compact form in this way. And you can understand the meaning of theta QL. Theta QL is a polynomial for non-seasonal part in terms of L. Similarly, theta QSLS is the polynomial for seasonal part. Epsilon TS again, the random error. We can extend the stochastic behavior by combining autoregression and moving average together in the form of ARMA, autoregressive moving average in seasonal. So it will be called S-ARMA or SARMA. S-ARMA of order PQ. So again, as the stochastic process follows ARMA, so there are autoregression and moving average combined both for the non-seasonal and seasonal part. So this is the order for non-seasonal part, and this is the order for seasonal part. So SARMA PQPQS can be expressed as phi P of L, phi PS of LS. So these are the autoregressive polynomial. This is autoregressive polynomial for the non-seasonal part. This is autoregressive polynomial for the seasonal part. In the right hand side, this is moving average polynomial for the non-seasonal part. Again, this is moving average component for the moving average polynomial for the seasonal part. Okay. And in annual time series, we have mentioned in most of the cases, ARMA 1-1 model is very much important. So in the case of seasonal time series, we can consider SARMA 1111S has mostly used form of the stochastic process. So in additive form, we can express SARMA 1111S as YTS is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 1S YT minus 1S plus epsilon TS plus theta 1 epsilon T minus 1 plus theta 1 S epsilon T minus 1S. In this expression, this is non-seasonal autoregressive part. This is seasonal autoregressive part. This is non-seasonal moving average part. And this is seasonal moving average part. Have you written up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now come again for ARIMA. So what is the difference between ARMA and ARIMA? ARMA basically denotes the stationary process. So when ARMA process is non-stationary with unit root, then it is called ARIMA, autoregressive integrated moving average. So you are familiar with ARIMA of order PDQ in the case of annual time series, indicating autoregressive of order P, order of integration D, and order of moving average Q. In the case of seasonal time series, you have to consider all orders twice, one for the non-seasonal movement, another for the seasonal movement. So when you have a seasonal time series, to express ARIMA model, you need to consider order twice, one for PDQ as you have used for annual time series to denote the lag order for the non-seasonal part, P the autoregressive order, D the order of integration, Q is the order of moving average. And this one denotes the order for the seasonal part. Order of autoregression capital P, order of moving average capital Q, and order of integration capital D. And the expression in generalized form for SARIMA PDQ PDQS, SARIMA PDQ PDQS can be expressed as phi 1P of L. This is the autoregressive polynomial for the non-seasonal part. Then phi PS of LS. This is the autoregressive polynomial for seasonal part. Then 1 minus L whole to the power small d. This is the order of integration for non-seasonal part. And this indicates 1 minus LSD, the order of integration for the seasonal part. And in the right hand side, theta QL is the order of moving average for the non-seasonal part. Theta QSLS is the order of moving average for the seasonal part. So in this way, we can express the stochastic seasonal time series variable depending on the nature of the stochastic process, whether it follows autoregressive process or moving average process or autoregressive moving average process. Now, if our ultimate objective is to analyze the trend, nature of non-stationarity, in that case, our main focus should be on the autoregressive part. Because you can remember, in the case of annual time series, we have mentioned the presence of unit root in the moving average component does not create any problem as far as the analysis of trend is concerned. So in analyzing the trend component, we have to focus on the autoregressive part, whether there is any unit root in the autoregressive part or not. So if unit root presents in the autoregressive part, then the series will contain stochastic trend. Okay. So similar kind of analysis we can use in the case of seasonal time series as well. Okay. So for that purpose, now suppose we are focusing purely on the seasonal process. Till now, in expressing the AR process, MA process, or ARMA process, we have taken care of both the non-seasonal component as well as seasonal component. And your data basically follows this kind of behavior, seasonal and non-seasonal together. The value of the variable moves over the year following non-seasonal part, along with across the season within a year following the seasonal part. So in reality, your data follows seasonal and non-seasonal behavior together. But we have discussed non-seasonal behavior separately in analyzing annual time series. So non-seasonal part is similar. What we have not explored till now is the seasonal part. That is unit roots in the seasonal part. So how we analyze the behavior of the unit roots in seasonal part? To simplify our analysis, we consider purely seasonal process. Purely seasonal process means we have ignored the non-seasonal part. So in the case of purely seasonal process, the seasonal autoregressive process, PS. So we have ignored here, you can find out, we have ignored small p. Small p indicated the lag length in non-seasonal part. So if we are not considering the non-seasonal part, so this is of course the hypothetical behavior. It is not the actual behavior of the time series you have. Actual behavior, you can consider both seasonal and non-seasonal together. But we already have some idea the behavior of unit root in the case of non-seasonal data, annual data. So we do not need to repeat the same. So what is new here? We need to focus more on the unit root behavior for the seasonal part. For that purpose, we have just taken the seasonal part of the actual behavior of the series. So if the series follows autoregressive of order P in its seasonal movement, we have a relevant expression like this: phi PS LSYT is equal to epsilon t, where phi PS LS is the autoregressive polynomial for the seasonal component only. Okay. Now, to understand the issue clearly, let me consider the autoregressive process of order 1. So seasonal autoregressive process of order 1, yes.
So just a clarification, in the previous equation, won't there be epsilon ts on the right hand side, or simply epsilon t?
Sorry, TS. Yes, you are right. It should be TS.
Thank you, sir.
There is a mistake here, so you can correct it. Now consider autoregressive process of order 1. SAR1S. So how we can express it? YTS is equal to phi 1S YT minus 1S plus epsilon TS. You can compare the earlier expression where we have considered non-seasonal part as well, SAR11S. In that case, the expression was YTS is equal to phi 1 YT minus 1 plus phi 1s yt minus 1s plus epsilon ts. So we have ignored here the non-seasonal part, phi 1 yt minus 1. Okay. So if this is autoregressive part in the seasonal component, and suppose we have a quarterly data, so S is equal to 4. So you can write this equation for quarterly data as this form. Yt4 is equal to phi 1 4 yt minus 1 4 plus epsilon t4. Now try to remember at this stage the steps we have followed in the case of annual time series, AR1. Just try to remember what was the expression for AR1? Yt is equal to phi 1 yt minus 1 plus epsilon t, if we ignore the drift component. And we have used in the iterative method by substituting t is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. to get the final expression for yt is equal to phi 1 to the power t into y naught plus sum of phi 1 to the power t minus j epsilon t minus, phi 1 to the power t epsilon t minus j t varies from 1 to t minus 1, like this in the case of annual time series. So if we follow the similar tricks here, the iterative method, to find out or to look at the behavior of autoregressive process of order 1 in seasonal movement, not non-seasonal. For quarterly data we have chosen here. So here substitute t is equal to 1. So at t is equal to 1, your result will be this. Y4 is equal to phi 1 4 y naught plus epsilon 4. Okay. Now put t is equal to 2. So if you put t is equal to 2 here in this expression, you will get y8 is equal to phi 1 4 y4 plus epsilon 8. Now substitute here the value for y4 obtained in the previous step. And you will ultimately get this expression. Y8 is equal to phi 1 square 4 y naught plus phi 1 4 epsilon 4 plus epsilon 8. Again, put t is equal to 3 here. So we are putting t is equal to 1, t is equal to 2, t is equal to 3, etc. And as a result, for quarterly data, we have got the result in this way. So you can understand, in the case of quarterly data, you can take a cycle of 4, y4, y8, y12, etc. Similarly, if you have a monthly data, So in that case, S is equal to 12. And by putting T is equal to 1, T is equal to 2, T is equal to 3, etc., you will get the corresponding result with cycle 12. So for quarterly data, you have a cycle 4. For monthly data, you have a cycle 12. So if you follow this process for quarterly data, we have chosen as quarterly because it would be easy, relatively easy to understand. So if we follow this process, ultimately you get the expression in this form. So if you put T is equal to this, so here if you substitute the previous value, so ultimately the expression becomes this. YT4 is equal to phi 1 to the power T 4 Y0, phi 1 to the power T minus 1 4 epsilon 4, plus phi 1 to the power T minus 2 4 epsilon 2 4, etc. And you can express finally in this form: phi 1 to the power T4 Y0 plus sum of phi 1 to the power j epsilon T4 minus j is equal to 0 to T minus 1. So it is similar for the annual time series. In the case of annual time series, you have got similar kind of expression: phi 1 to the power T into Y0 plus sum of phi 1 to the power j epsilon T minus j varies from 0 to T minus 1. Okay. And in this expression, for AR1 model, the seasonal process will be stationary only when the absolute value of this coefficient will be less than 1, phi 1. So YTS will be stationary when mod value of phi 1 is less than 1. Because in that case, the second component of the above expression will be converging and the first component will be tending towards 0 as t tends to infinity. Okay. Now, when in the case of AR1, we have seen in the case of annual time series, if the value of phi 1 is equal to 1, it indicates the presence of unit root in the series. And when unit root presents in the case of annual time series, we mentioned the process as a random walk. So similar kind of analysis we can apply for seasonal behavior, seasonal random walk. So if phi 1 is the coefficient for seasonal AR1 equal to 1, then the series follows the behavior which is called the seasonal random walk. Okay. So if you substitute phi 1s is equal to 1 in SAR1s model, you will have this kind of expression. So here the difficulty is, in the case of annual time series, you can remember for AR1 you have a linear characteristic equation. and you have only one root, and when the value of the root equal to 1, we can call it unit root. So in the case of annual time series for AR1, you have only one unit root, or you have only one random walk process. But in the case of a seasonal time series, you have multiple number of unit roots and multiple number of independent random walks, depending on the value of S, the seasonal frequency. Suppose S is equal to 4 for quarterly data. So what would be the inverse characteristic equation? It would be 1 minus L to the power 4 equal to 0. Okay. So to find out unit root, you have to set 1 minus L to the power 4 equal to 0. Or if you factorize this, you can write 1 minus L, 1 plus L into 1 plus L square. This equal to 0. Again, you can factorize this part. So you have ultimately this form. So how many unit roots you can get here for quarterly series? You can get 4 seasonal unit roots. Similarly, for monthly data, S is equal to 12. So even in the case of AR1 process, you will get 12 unit roots. And we can look at different unit roots differently within the seasonal behavior. এই পর্যন্ত বুঝতে পারলে কি করে এলো?
Sir, can you please repeat this?
Just take AR1 model, this seasonal autoregressive of order 1. Okay. Now for random walk, you know value of phi1 is equal to 1, indicating unit root. So if you put value of phi1 is equal to 1, you can write by introducing lag operator in this form. Now suppose S is equal to 4 for quarterly data. So you have this expression. Now our interest should be on the expression 1 minus L to the power 4. To analyze the behavior of unit root. In the case of annual time series, you have similar expression 1 minus L into YT is equal to epsilon T. So what is the difference for quarterly data? S is equal to 4. So if you factorize this polynomial, you have this expression. So what is the real implication of this kind of expression? So for quarterly data, we can say we have 4 unit roots in analyzing the seasonal behavior. So what is the meaning of this? In the quarterly data, you have first quarter value, second quarter value, third quarter, fourth quarter. So when we consider the behavior of first quarter, or the behavior of second quarter, or the behavior of third quarter, or the behavior of fourth quarter, we have 4 different types of non-stationarity. or 4 different types of stochastic trend here. One for quarter 1, another for quarter 2, another for quarter 3, another for quarter 4. So for quarterly data, we have 4 independent random walks. Okay. Now, if you set this equal to 0, you will get inverse characteristic equation. Now, after setting this equal to 0, you will get 4 values of L. Okay. So one value will be equal to 1 if you set this part equal to 0, L is equal to 1. If you set this equal to 0, L is equal to -1. Similarly, if you set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0, you have two conjugate complex roots for L. So in this way, you can get 4 unit roots. One, the roots 1, -1, plus I, minus I. And each has different meaning. For L is equal to 1, when we consider the value of root equal to 1, it corresponds 0 frequency. When the value of L is equal to -1, it indicates half cycle per quarter. That is 2 cycles per year. When the value of the roots plus I or minus I, in that case, you have 1/4 cycle per quarter. That is 1 cycle per year. Okay. And these concepts are very much important to understand the meaning of unit roots in the seasonal component. So in the case of quarterly data, you can look into the behavior, possible behavior of trend followed by the variable in this way. One kind of trend considering no frequency, 0 frequency. Frequency means for quarterly data, frequency 4. So there is no frequency, that is, you can treat the annual movement by taking each quarter.
Sir, এই zero frequency পার্টটা একবার বোঝাবেন প্লিজ?
Zero frequency means zero frequency is equivalent to annual movement. তাহলে এখানে কোয়ার্টারলি ডেটার ক্ষেত্রে তুমি কি পাচ্ছ? Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 একটা বছরে 4টে করে ভ্যালু পাচ্ছ তো? তাহলে এই যে 4টে করে ভ্যালু পাচ্ছ, এটাকে কত রকম ভাবে এর মুভমেন্টটা দেখতে পারো। একটা উপায় হচ্ছে যে ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি প্রত্যেকটা কোয়ার্টারকে অ্যানুয়াল বেসিসে দেখতে পারি। Q1 কিভাবে চেঞ্জ করছে ওভার দ্য ইয়ার, সেটা যদি আমি দেখি তাহলে হবে 0 ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি। আমি কোনো ফ্রিকোয়েন্সিকে কনসিডার করছি না, সিজনাল ফ্রিকোয়েন্সিকে কনসিডার করছি না, জাস্ট ফার্স্ট কোয়ার্টারের মুভমেন্ট কিভাবে হচ্ছে ওভার দ্য ইয়ার সেটা দেখছি। আর একটা অল্টারনেটিভ কি হতে পারে, এই যে কোয়ার্টারলি সিরিজের ক্ষেত্রে তোমার ভ্যারিয়েবলটা 4 বার চেঞ্জ করে যাচ্ছে এক বছরে, সেটাকে তুমি যদি দুটো ইকুয়াল পার্টে ভাগ করে নাও, 2 সাইকেলস পার ইয়ার, তাহলে এইভাবে মুভমেন্টটা কিরকম হচ্ছে ওভার দ্য ইয়ার্স। আর একটা হচ্ছে কি যে ভ্যালুটা একবারই আসবে পার ইয়ার, 1 সাইকেল পার ইয়ার, দ্যাট ইজ 1/4 সাইকেল পার কোয়ার্টার। তাহলে একটা হচ্ছে জিরো ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি, যেখানে আমরা এল এর ভ্যালুটা 1 পাচ্ছি। জিরো ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি ইজ সিমিলার টু দ্য নন সিজনাল ইউনিট রুট। বাকিগুলো হচ্ছে সিজনাল। বাকিগুলো সিজনাল কেন? প্রথমটাতে জিরো ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি, মানে তুমি সিজনাল ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি কনসিডার করছো না, মানে ইউ আর জাস্ট লুকিং অ্যাট দ্য বিহেভিয়ার অন অ্যানুয়াল বেসিস। But in the latter cases, you are considering the seasonal movement in different possible way. One possible way to look into the behavior by considering 2 cycles per year. Another possible way to consider 1 cycles per year. So in this way, we can examine the stochastic trend by considering different cycles during a particular year. ওকে, তাহলে এটা হচ্ছে বেসিক জায়গা to understand seasonal unit root. On the basis of this concept, in the next class, we will discuss how to test for unit roots.